Alright, welcome back to the C10 operation. So here we are with our screen. So once it's loaded, you're going to see this main menu. Before that, you're going to see something that looks like a Windows menu. Do not touch it then. Just let it run, let it warm up, and it will come to this main menu automatically. So on the screen, first of all, you'll see that there's a pen over here. If you ever use this, do not lose this, or Carrie will be sure to show you where to go. So here is the battery. So this will tell you what the level of battery is. And then here is a target menu, and this is your compensator. So this particular scanner and actually any big scanner, needs to be leveled. And it does have a compensator to kind of adjust for little differences, but for the most part you need to make sure it's leveled. So when you're going to set up a job in here, you're going to go to Manage. Now if you're using My C10, you have to have some patience with it. So the way I explain this is that touch screen that we have was made in 2008. So you have to have a little bit of patience with it. So what you're going to do is you're going to first of all set up your job. So you're going to press and let go, and then normally just kind of count to 5, and then it will change the screen. So we're going to go to Manage to set up our job, and then just kind of wait. There we go. So then in the management menu, I'm going to set up a project. So I'm going to go to Project. And then here is the project. So let's say you've already set up a project. All you need to do is highlight the project that you are doing and then press Continue, which is the button down here. If you need to create a new one, you would go to New, which is at the bottom, which is right there. And I'm going to press and it will come up. And then I give it a name. So here is my name, so I'm going to call this Class. And then press Enter. And then I've got the class. So now I can press Store. So I'm going to press Store. And it will create a new project. As long as that project is highlighted, then I can press Continue. Now it is working within that project, so now I can exit out of the management menu. Now I use caution when you're pressing these X's. Have the patience. So press them once, let go, and count to 5, because otherwise if you press the X too much, it's going to shut down the scanner, and then you start all over again. So we'll press the X, count to 5, and it's back at the main menu. So now that I'm back at the main menu and I'm in my project, I can go to Scan. So Scan is the first one on the menu. And then it says Scan Begin. So here is where the most important part about running this scanner is. So there's 3 different options on the bottom. There's Continue, Setup, and Standard Setup. There's also Check Backside if you're doing traversing. So Continue means I am scanning from the last point that I was at. So if I, for example, scanned and I'm like, oh, you know what, there was a car that got in the way, or there was some big truck that parked in front of it, and I've got to wait until the truck moves, then I can just leave this here, and then I can press Continue and scan again. So it's not going to overwrite, but it's going to add the points to the same point cloud as the previous scan station, or like the scan station that it believes it is at. So I always caution, do not use Continue. Every time you move, you do not use Continue. Never use Continue in this screen. The next one is Setup. Setup is for traversing with scanners. Generally speaking, we don't do traversing as much anymore because the software is so powerful now that we don't need to traverse and set zeros. We can really just like bring in a text file with our targets, and then we've got it all set up. Then we have Standard Setup. So Standard Setup is the one that says, you know what, this is a new location for me to scan at. So generally, I would say always use that. Never use the other 2 unless you're needing to do traversing, I guess, or just overwrite a scan that you did. So when you press Standard Setup, you come to the Scan Parameter window. So here is where we can set up exactly what we want. So there's a field of view, And right now it says target all, but we can press down and there's a few options. So there's custom view, which means that I can go and use, there's a video camera on here, built into the camera. And I can say, okay, I just want you to scan this particular location, so I can just draw like a window. There's also a quick scan, which is just like a line. I can choose rectangle. So 60 by 60 means it's going 60 degrees and then in the horizontal direction and 60 degrees in the vertical direction, but it starts at the 0 that it thinks it's at. So we have this set up right now. We may not even know where 0 is right now. I don't know where the 0 is right now. Again, it's not that important in scanning where the 0 is, unless you're trying to do like a really thin, like traversing through like a really long hallway or something. There's panoramic. Panoramic does 360, so the horizontal is all the way around 360, and it'll either do 60 degrees or 90 degrees. So 90 degrees in the vertical goes all the way up to the ceiling. 60 degrees only captures like a small window of it. So if you were doing this on your own, you would say target all. And I always suggest target all unless you are doing something very particular, just because target all captures everything and you're not going to miss anything. So it tells you that the degrees that it's at the bottom, it goes down to -45 degrees, and then it goes to the top, which is 90 degrees, so it sets it up for you there. If I move this, you see where it says degrees here, it says it's at 178, so that means that it is not at 0. So you can use that to try to find your 0 if you were wanting to figure out where your field of view is being set up. Then if we click on resolution tab, this is how much how dense I want my point cloud. So I have a lot more control here than what I do when I'm using airborne. So at a distance of 100 meters, it tells me that my horizontal and vertical resolution is at 20 centimeters. So that means that the points are 20 centimeters apart at 100 meters at a low resolution. If I go to a medium resolution, now it goes up to 10 centimeters at 100 meters. And then we can keep going to high resolution, which is 5 centimeters at 100 meters, and then highest, which is 2 centimeters at 100 meters. You'll find that with the C10, that generally speaking, the medium resolution is sufficient, and it's actually a very good quality scan. Because you think at 30 centimeters, we are looking at 3 centimeters between each point. At 30 meters at the BLK range. The BLK range still has about a couple centimeters in its density. This one has at 30 meters, it has a 3 centimeter density, which is still really, really good. Then we have image control. The image control, it tells you what you want to do for your actual photos. So it's at the highest resolution at the moment. So I can reduce the resolution of the camera if I want. It does speed it up a little bit because the camera does take a little while, and that would be where you would change that. Now, there's filters. Generally, we don't worry about filters. You can go ahead and say, okay, I want a range filter on, and then say, I'm only going to accept values between this particular range. So you can reduce the amount of distance that this one covers, or increase the minimum range so you're not collecting anything too close. So that's possible. Generally, I don't get anybody to use any of that, but we will. But it's an option for you. Now at the bottom of the screen, we have a whole bunch of different options here. The only two that you're really worried about is scan an image and scan. So scan only does the point cloud. It does not take photos, so you cannot put photos on over top. If you go with scan, you will not be able to provide a actual real looking point cloud. So the point cloud itself is going to have only intensity values, and that's all you're going to see. Scan an image does the photos as well. It does take longer, but it does give you that real world feel because you can actually color the point cloud based on those images that have been taken. So And whichever you want to do, whichever is appropriate for your particular project, you can control that there. So generally, most people use scan and image. If you were doing your project with the building, you would be doing scan and image. I'm just going to choose scan, and then I'm going to let it run. And then I will do a targets video after that. So I just press scan, and it will start, and I'll pull this back so that you can see what it's doing. And then it will start to run the actual laser. So again, with this one, I suggest staying on the side of the actual screen, not on this blank side that we're on right now, just because of the nature of what it is. So you want to be able to see what's going on the screen, so that if there's an error, then you can actually see what the error is and adjust for that. Right now it's probably just calibrating, and then it'll get started. And so stay tuned for the next video, as the next video will show you guys how to do targeting with the C10. And if you're curious of what scanning looks like on the ceiling, there it is. That's what the scanner looks like.